You need to realize something. We're on the verge of the biggest bull market there has ever been in cryptocurrency. And what you do in the coming few weeks will absolutely dictate your success in this bull market and ultimately dictate your life over the next few years, because you have the opportunity now to absolutely change the game for yourself if you do this correctly. In this video, I'm going to break down the macroeconomic factors that are really behind this bull market, because it's going to tell you that we've got 2 years to absolutely capitalize on this opportunity. I'm also going to talk about the narratives and cryptocurrencies that I can see having the most success over the next 6 months. So hit the like button and let's get into today's video. Now guys, if by now you're subscribed to this channel, then you'll know what I'm going to say. Throughout this year, we've been in a crazy bull market already. And what was so obvious was this. Now, after watching various YouTubers talk about Bitcoin dominance and all these other different parts that were going to play a part in whether or not we were in a Bitcoin bull market or not, we completely ignored that. In fact, I paid a lot of attention to various other people in the space, such as Raoul Pal, who has an incredible amount of macro knowledge, and he talked about something called the liquidity cycle. I then decided to investigate a lot of my time into understanding what the liquidity cycle was and what its effect on the markets was, because everyone else was talking about the halving cycle, and the liquidity cycle made more sense to me. Now, the liquidity cycle, you can see, is this orange line, and this basically tells us how much liquidity or money effectively there is available in the markets to be spent. Whenever it bottoms out, you have very difficult economic times, and eventually it will then bounce back into very prosperous times as liquidity increases. So why does liquidity start to increase, and particularly why is liquidity increasing right now? Well, I've talked about it before, and then in fact Elliot Trades talked about this again. He's been talking about the fact that the interest rates, which have been extremely high, are going to start to get brought down, and we're going to see a lot of inflation coming in again. Why do we see that? Well, because Joe Biden, the president of the United States, wishes to get elected again, and he's not going to get elected unless he appears to have improved things for the economy in the United States. Therefore, you're going to get way more stimulus entering into the economy, way more money again, and then guess what? Bitcoin bull market back on, because every time we've bottomed out in the past, we've had Bitcoin bear market bottoms, following this Bitcoin bull markets. This bottomed out at the start of 2023. It's slightly ahead of the curve when we look at it compared to crypto, but we basically will follow this. And over the next 2 years, bearing in mind we had a very aggressive low here, we can expect to see a significant climb towards the upside. Not just the US economy though. You can also see this. In China, the world's second biggest economy, the Chinese liquidity and market cycles are reflexively, increasingly linked Chinese stocks and Bitcoin. You can see the stocks on the left-hand side have been kind of struggling a little bit and getting towards the bottom around January 2023, and now they're starting to see a push. Lots of growth going on in China right now, and that's why we're seeing growth again in Bitcoin. And all this basically has told us exactly when the bottom of the markets come in. So it's worth paying attention to this, because whenever it tops out, we're probably going to see a Bitcoin and a bull market top as well. So where to turn? What do we do right now? Well, fairly straightforward. Now, obviously, I can't tell you what you should be doing, because obviously we all have our own situations right now. But from a personal point of view, I want to be in the markets. I had a call yesterday through the Crypto VIP League, link down below if you want to become a member of that, where we do weekly calls and basically mentorship through this exciting market. And I talked about something. Lots of people were asking, do I take profits here? Should I be selling up and getting out the market and waiting for what comes? If you look at this on a day-to-day basis and looking on a small time frame, it can get a bit confusing. But ultimately what we need to do is this. Get on a monthly chart over on tradingview.com, and then you can see by zooming out where we probably are, in my opinion, right now. This is the 2017 bull market. We had a bit of a pullback. We struggled to get above this line. We broke above it. Bull market. We struggled to get above this line, broke above it, bull market. Struggled to get above this line, broke above it, bull market. Okay, so if you can look at this, we do have each of these times, once we break beyond this line, with the exception of 2017, basically straight up months. Okay, we straight up for a good 6 to 10 months. Okay, each time. Here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 topped out in 2020. Yeah, we had a pullback and then we kind of came again. And then obviously Bitcoin kind of chilled out after that. In 2017, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We had a bit of a pullback, 7, 8, 9 months of basically uptrend. 9 months. If you're trying to kind of get out of the market to try and buy in slightly lower, hoping that Bitcoin pulls back like 10%, 20%, and in my opinion, it's just kind of greed, okay? It's a high risk thing to be doing. A lot of markets are heading up. Therefore, personally, I want to be in the markets. And I've already talked about this yesterday, if you're subscribed, talking about the kind of flow of money from phase 1 through phase 2 and on. Now, phase 1, obviously, you see Bitcoin pumping, then phase 2, Ethereum, and then large caps. And yes, other large caps have been pumping excessively, aggressively more recently. But I do think that we are still going to follow through that cycle. And when we eventually get to those kind of large caps, you're going to see some really explosive growth. But given that like Solana and whatever is already up nearly 11x this year, and if you're subscribed earlier in this year, you probably caught that move with me and everyone else, I would anticipate that maybe we're not going to see any more than like a 6-7x from here. So where do I see the best kind of narratives and things to be looking early on in 2024? Well, it's quite clear right now. The layer 2s are starting to show their hand. Some of the key layer 1s are worth paying attention to. The layer 2s are starting to show their hand. We've seen Optimism absolutely booming yesterday, Arbitrum having a great time, and then various other narratives such as GameFi, real-world assets, decentralized exchanges, and AI. To be honest, you haven't really got to branch out and go too far away from these. However, I do feel that over the next 6 months or so, most of the growth you're going to see, or at least consistent growth, is going to happen in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then most of the large cap coins in the sort of top 50 or so. Now, something that is very interesting to note, and one thing that is worth paying attention to if you want to find out where those growth areas are going to be, is to look at where the volume is happening and look into the on-chain data. There's a reason right now you're seeing maximum growth in the likes of Solana, and it's because of this. This is decentralized exchanged volume as a percentage against all the other platforms in the last few days. And you can see on the 21st of December, Solana took up nearly 40% of that, which is pretty much bigger than the rest of the market combined minus Ethereum. Okay, so now imagine if that's blowing up and it's swallowing so much of the market, what's the effect on Solana? Well, it's this. I told you yesterday what basically happens in a market, and it's important to realize who and what is buying at different stages. Don't trouble yourself too much with this Bitcoin ETF drama and stuff. It's just another like catalyst. It's just another thing that's going to push Bitcoin up to the next level. If you draw this chart, look at where's Bitcoin going to go next, it's probably going to go somewhere around here. Okay, you've got other people who will always tell you it's going to go to like 4 million or 2 million or whatever, but realistically I think Bitcoin gets to around here. Whether it happens in one swoop and we get there sort of by the middle or end of next year, or have another like one like this, or who knows, guys, maybe it doesn't even do this. Maybe we get a pullback here and then it sort of slowly trickles up. No one knows for sure, but we do know that we are in a bull market. Anyway, so who's been buying? At the bottom down here, you have the smarter investors. People who have been well rehearsed in knowing where the bottom of the market's probably going to come in, understanding the market psychology and all that good stuff. These were buying in here. Now, because of that kind of liquidity cycle and because of the kind of stress in the market with all the interest rates and stuff, the bigger institutions and everything like that weren't really going to necessarily jump in too hard down here. They will start to accumulate once the market seems a little bit hotter, once you start to get more liquidity coming in from that liquidity market. And now, as that liquidity cycle heats up, you start to get the institutional money flowing in. So while we've seen recently like rogue kind of pumps up going in GameFi and all sorts of other bits and pieces, really we want to focus on Bitcoin and the bigger market caps, because those are where the big institutions will start to drive the bull market. This area of the market comes from big institutional money, okay? And then actually around kind of this level is where you get the liquidity or the exit liquidity from the CNBC and all that stuff piling in, okay? So big money pumps the market to around here, then all the kind of people who don't know what they're doing come piling in around here, okay? So what we need to do is identify what that big money is going to invest in. That big money is not going to invest heavily into like random kind of shit coins out there, okay? That big money is coming into Bitcoin, it's going to come into Ethereum, it's going to come into Solana and other products that are already operating, that are already gaining market share. And the layer 2s, therefore, could well see some good growth into the future. Now, there are other projects out there that will still start to grow as people take profits out of Bitcoin and Ethereum and put them into others. But actually, we haven't got to fuss too much about that, guys. That doesn't come until later in the bull market. Remember, last bull market, all of this happened before basically Solana even came out. Solana kind of got launched somewhere around here and then had a good gain. And a bunch of other cryptos were the same. Okay, so nothing really got going until Bitcoin had already done all of that stuff. So if you're at all concerned about where you should be heading right now, you're likely to see Bitcoin topping out before some other crazy altcoins that you've never even heard of come out. Where does Bitcoin go from here? Well, realistically, it's probably going to go to 100k, 150k. Maybe it goes to 200k. I don't even know. Okay, it's just speculative. But right now, you've got an early opportunity to see some growth in the kind of larger caps. If, however, you're trying to be greedy and you're trying to get into coins and you're trying to sell them off to try and pick them up if they get pulled back on and stuff, and you're pretending that maybe you know where it's going to exactly pull back, you can see, guys, this market multiple times has just gone up in a straight line. Personally, I want to be in the market. If I want to have more money to get involved, well, then you know how you go and get more money, guys. You can either cut down your spending or you can increase your earnings. How you do that is obviously up to you. But ultimately, in my opinion, the money you can go and pick up and earn in these kind of areas and put into the market, in my opinion, offers the opportunity to see significant growth on that capital. So yeah, maybe you don't want to go and wash a car for $10 or $20, but maybe you'd go and wash that car for someone else for $80 or $100. If you think about the money that you could potentially earn doing little jobs and things like that as amplified, maybe it will change the way that you think about things. Now, obviously, guys, it could be wrong. Maybe the market turns around and we dump towards the downside, but ultimately it's been driven by the liquidity cycle. It's the liquidity that drives the market forward. Now, guys, if you want to go and pick up any cryptocurrencies that I talk about on this channel or anyone else talks about, then make sure you go across to MEXC, link down below in the description, where you can get up to a $20,000 trading bonus. Also 0% spot maker taker fees. Absolute no-brainer. MEXC, over 4,000 different altcoins. It's the one I use. Also, right now, NordVPN has an exclusive offer for Christmas. You can get up to 4 months extra free, as well as Amazon gift cards, depending on which country you're living in. All you got to do is go to the link down below in the description. After that, you can get NordVPN for just a couple of bucks each month, which is about the price of a cup of coffee, okay? Now, why would you want to have NordVPN? Well, it's because you can access different exchanges, such as MEXC, and save yourself a bunch of money. Also, it's going to keep you secure while you are browsing online. No one can watch what you're doing in going into your wallets, use your seed phrases, that kind of stuff. So ultimately, it's an essential piece of kit that you have to have if you're going to be trading in crypto. In my opinion, use the link down below, guys. It is the #1 VPN out there, and it's pretty much the cheapest if you use that link. Hope you guys have a fantastic Christmas. Do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you on Boxing Day with another one. Bye-bye.